my shorr-parks Casino and Sportsbook app. It's a Super Bowl champion podcast. I got Zoe here ready to roll. We are the freaking champions, dude. We did it. We won the Super Bowl. We whooped their asses. We whooped the Chiefs' asses. Elliot shorr-parks. Let's go, buddy. I'm so happy. I'm so happy for all of us. What an amazing night. The best Eagles team of all time. The best Eagles performance of all time. Like, I can't believe it, man. It's one of the best nights of our life, Elliot.
This caps off what was the best season of Eagles football we'll ever see. And we will have time to do all of the talk about what a season it was, how great they were, what they accomplished this year. But this moment right now, all I can think about is those players on the field celebrating and how happy I am for them, how happy I am for the coaches, how happy I am for Howie, for Jeffrey, and for every single person in this chat right now, every single Eagles fan. This is an amazing moment. The confetti falling is green this time. It's not red. This was a fight 2 years in the making. The Eagles have wanted this fight ever since it ended in Arizona. They've waited for it. They trained for it. They got ready for it. And when they got it, they delivered a knockout punch like nothing the Super Bowl has ever seen. They left no doubt. As Malcolm Jenkins said before the NFC Championship game against the Vikings, it didn't have to be close. And this time it was not close. And the score doesn't even indicate how much of a slapping around this was. They came to New Orleans and embarrassed the Chiefs. That was a two-time Super Bowl champion that they made look like the Carolina Panthers. The defense was dominant. The offense was dominant. Jalen Hurts solidified his place as a top 2 quarterback in the NFL. Josh Allen, no Super Bowl ring. Lamar Jackson, no Super Bowl ring. Joe Burrow, no Super Bowl ring. Sean McVay, he has one. But Kyle Shanahan, no Super Bowl ring. The people that everyone doubted, not us, but the people everyone doubted, they shut them up tonight. Tonight was an all-time silencing of the critics moment. The celebration you hear, the music you hear, the confetti I'm looking at, they earned this thing. But most importantly, you earned it. Drew earned it. Justin earned it. Everybody earned it. I'm so happy to think of everybody celebrating. This is a moment we've all been waiting for, and I could not be happier for everybody at home.
Zoe, give him a go, Birds.
Go Birds!
And Zoe's getting ice cream every day this week, right, Zoe? That was
well deserved.
Yeah. All right. I love you, Zoe. You did the pod. Go Birds. I love you, Emily. Elliot,
the Eagles are taking the stage right now. You can hear the noise. Nick Sirianni's going up there. He's holding his kids up as he walks up. Jalen Hurts is up there. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is going crazy. It is an absolute party here. And you know what? The stadium's still mostly full. You want to know why, man? Because it was mostly Eagles fans all night. We're going to talk about this as a dominating performance by the team, absolutely. But tonight was a win for Philadelphia as a whole. The NFL saw what we've known. This is the best football city in the country, and we showed they have the best football team as well. The fans, here were unfreaking believable. I'll remember a lot from this game. It's an honest to God truth. I might remember the most what the fans did tonight, what the fans did tonight. And let me tell you this, I texted you. The second they ran out to DMX, I knew the Chiefs would be trouble. They had no shot after that, man. What a freaking buckle.
Well, Elliot, and I'm happy you started with the Nick and Jalen. Like, before you came on, I was able to watch Nick with his son in the post-game interview. Did an Eagles chant. I could see the happiness in him, what he's gone through. Jalen, Brandon Graham came up and it was like, no one's going to doubt you now, man. No one's going to.
Yep.
And it's like, and like, I'm looking at Saquon right now on TV and like what he did and to get here, to get this. And like, man, it's just, and it's crazy too, because I feel like the conversation after this is not, is this the best Eagles team of all time? Is this one of the best football teams?
It legitimately is. It legitimately is.
It legitimately, what they did to they never really, other than Tampa, with 3 players missing, they did not lose a real game this year.
At full strength, they didn't lose a single time.
Dynasty, 40-22, and it was really 40-6. The rest didn't matter. It was nothing. Like, they
blow the whistles playing. The place is going crazy. Blow the whistles playing. We need Giglio up on stage. But think about this, James. They literally smacked the NFC Championship game and Super Bowl teams like 90-25.
Dude, 95 points the last 2 weeks. 95 points the last 2 weeks. And like, man, Jalen Hurts, like the defense,
Yes,
like
absolutely.
one of the greatest things we've ever seen. It's the best Eagles defense of all time. The performance, we'll get to it, but like, let's start where it deserves to start, because they haven't announced it yet. But I would be absolutely floored if he's not announced as the Super Bowl MVP. And Jalen Hurts, for what that guy went through, how it ended last season, how this season has gone for him, even when they're winning, the like criticism and the, you know, what he's had to do from tucking his ego behind him to win. And for what he did these last two games, and particularly in this game against Patrick Mahomes, where we're seeing Patrick Mahomes look frazzled and throw the worst passes of his career, and we see Jalen, just other than one weird throw and that interception, like, was perfect. He was perfect. He was so great today, so locked in, so like, just
he was elite. He was elite. He was absolutely elite.
He was like, what I watched tonight, it's like, yes, you can say Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in football just because of tonight. That doesn't change. Like, he still is. But, like, I don't know how you watch this and say Jalen Hurts isn't the second best quarterback.
I mean, think about this. Jalen's played Mahomes the last 3 years 3 times. He arguably outplayed him once. He smacked him around this time, and he beat him that other time on Monday night. Like, what he's done in these big moments cannot be overlooked. And to your point about, like, him tonight, right? First of all, I want to make a declaration. We're not doing the whole besides the interception forever. I've been doing it. You've been doing it. Like,
they won 40 to 22.
He was unbelievable.
There were no points off of it. It meant nothing.
Here's what was so crazy about him tonight. He looked so freaking calm the entire time. Like, he literally never looked frazzled whatsoever.
Well, especially after that first drive where, like, we all believed, nationally, everyone was like, they got screwed on that call.
I mean, think of some of the throws he made. The touchdown to Devontae was a perfect throw. The throw to AJ that was unfairly called back on 4th down, that was an elite throw. AJ Brown's wide open. He hits perfectly in stride. And you'll say, well, he's wide open. Patrick Mahomes had DeAndre Hopkins wide open and botched the throw. Just because someone's open doesn't mean it's an easy throw. And he put an absolutely perfect throw on him. I think the Lombardi Trophy is making its way up to the stage right now. Wow, my voice cracked.
Well, you know what's crazy, Elliot, is I couldn't talk about the parade before. Like, I just wouldn't let myself think, like,
dude, we're having a parade. Me and you
the
at WIP
Lombardi Trophy is going to go down Broad Street. Like, the Lombardi Trophy is going to go down Broad Street again, and it's going to be Nick and Jalen leading the freaking way, man. Can we talk about Sirianni Island? Can we talk about Nick Sirianni and what this man has done? 2 Super Bowls in his first 4 years, and now he's a Super Bowl champion, where he just avenged the loss to the Chiefs by just absolutely dominating them today. Did zero flaws, like, managed this team perfectly. They were so ready to play all season long after last season, after wanting to be fired after week 5 and a win like
here we go.
Man.
Lombardi. Larry's about to get the Lombardi. I'm looking down on the field. Everybody's watching him going crazy. Here we go. Goodell's about to hand it to him for the second time in 7 years. And look, the 2017 Super Bowl was special. Your first will always be the most special one, but this one was about greatness. This one was about domination. This one was about being the best team. The Eagles were arguably the best team in 2017, but that was a magical run by magical guys. This was a dominant run by dominant guys. Look at this. Jeffrey Lurie's about to pick that Lombardi Trophy up after smacking the Chiefs down. Here we go. And it's up. Jeffrey Lurie has lifted the Lombardi Trophy. Nick Sirianni is smiling in the background. Darius Slay, AJ Brown. The confetti is raining, and people are going. Howie Roseman is going crazy. This is an unreal scene, man. This is so crazy. I wish you were all here to do it. You all deserve to be here celebrating. But this season was about dominance. And to your point about Nick Sirianni, he also silenced all his critics tonight as well. I thought the Chiefs looked like they gave up, frankly. I've never seen the Eagles give up the way. I've never seen the Eagles give up the way the Chiefs did tonight. They looked disinterested. Andy Reid looked like he was barely paying attention to the game. Patrick Mahomes showed almost no emotion. Travis Kelce basically wasn't involved in the game. The Eagles had about 25 players that played better than the Chiefs' best player tonight. By the way, Milton Williams, Jahan Dotson.
Sweat. I know we nailed some bets. It was good stuff.
All right, let's talk about the defense.
Let's talk about the defense, because that first half performance, statistically, Shield put it out, it was the best statistical EPA performance by a defense all season long. I think, considering the situation the opponents at halftime, I think it's the best half I've ever seen an Eagles defense play. The 2 turnovers, the Zach Bond pick, the Cooper to Jean play, like, the pressure that they got with 4 all night long. Josh Sweat had 2.5 sacks. Milton Williams had 2 sacks and a sack fumble. Jalix Hunt had a freaking half sack. Like, Elliot, it was, we talked all year about talked all week about the number 1 defense in the Super Bowl, the stats, all that stuff. Like the number 1 defense in the Super Bowl, man.
Yeah.
That's a thing. Defense wins champion. I'm a cliche guy, right?
For
defense
a reason.
Wins championships. Showed up huge tonight. They, like, the way they, especially after that first drive, to just shut it down and then to turn them over. And again, to your point, like, other than that Tampa Bay Super Bowl, that, you know, the other big loss he's had, like, Patrick Mahomes has never looked like this. He's never looked so frazzled and so out of it. Yep.
They completely took the soul out of the Chiefs tonight. No question about it. They made the Chiefs quit. They made a 2-time champion or 3-time champion absolutely quit. And it wasn't even close. At halftime, the Eagles had more points than the Chiefs had yards. At the end of the third quarter, the Eagles had more points than close to it or whatever. The score doesn't indicate it. They basically held the Chiefs out of the end zone the entire night. They gave up 1 touchdown. That was it. All right, here we go. Nick Sirianni, Super Bowl champion, holding it up.
Wow, man. I'm so happy for him. I'm so happy for him and Jalen. And obviously, I'm so happy for everyone. But we've talked about it here.
You hear that? Wait, you hear that? Let everybody hear that. That's Jalen Hurts accepting the Super Bowl trophy. That is Jalen Hurts, the one everybody said couldn't do it, the one that people said was the weak link, the one that people said couldn't throw the ball. Tonight, they shut the running game down, and Jalen threw them to a win.
Totally. Who would have thought that, Elliot? Like, I think it was like 25 carries for 57 yards for Saquon, and the Eagles would blow him out. Like, everyone would have been like, "Are you crazy? What are you talking about?" Like,
dude, there's nothing you can say about Jalen anymore. Nothing. No quarterback's perfect. His resume is pretty.
He's
elite.
26 years old, man.
He's on a Hall of Fame
He's only going to
trajectory.
get better. He's already gotten so much better at recognition, at calling out the blitz, all this stuff this year. The way he plays, the moments he's been in, how unflappable he is in. Like we talked about it going in, but he is on his way, if he stays healthy and continues to do what he does, to being a Hall of Famer. Like,
absolutely.
It's unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable. And the point, just real quick, the point I want to make with those guys, it's not just for all they went through, but it's because we know how much Jalen and Nick care.
Absolutely. Here comes, guys, let it play. Here we go.
Victory. Fight, Eagles fight. Score a touchdown. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Hit 'em low, hit 'em high, and watch our Eagles fly to a Super Bowl victory. Fly, Eagles fly, on the road to a Super Bowl victory.
Wow. All right, I got to go down to the locker room, watch these guys celebrate. So I'm going to try to hop back on to keep it going and let you guys know what I'm looking at. But if not, I love you so much. I love you all so much. I'm happy to do this moment with you guys. The celebration's just getting started. It's going to be a wild week on Go Birds, but hopefully I'm back in a few minutes. But if not, I love you all, and I'll talk to you soon.
Love you, buddy. You look amazing.
What
a night. Yep, hop back on. Tucker can hop on as, again, just an unbelievable moment, guys. I mean, you know, we talked about it earlier, and here's Tucker, and like man, the swing that tonight was for our happiness, our joy as a city. Like, man, it's so special. Like, this is, I said it before, but this is what had a chance to be one of the best days of our lives, and it played out that way. Like, this is one of the best days of our lives, man.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it at halftime, and I woke up this morning and I felt like strangely calm. Like, that's one thing I remember from Super Bowl 52. So I woke up that morning and I felt calm, and I felt that way this morning. As the day went on, like, I almost became like too aware that I felt calm, and I tried to, make myself anxious by watching things and listening to the Go Birds show this morning, and everything they did, like I thought they could do. Like they played tonight like the team that we had seen all year, right? Like, they lined up.
By the way, a little breaking news: Jalen Hurts,
Super Bowl MVP.
Super Bowl MVP. Jalen Hurts is a Super Bowl MVP, Tucker.
And
how about that, man?
He threw the one interception, but I mean, he was in control the whole game, the way he has been in the postseason the entire time, right? Like he's been. He's just been on top of everything. Like 11 carries, 72 yards, only threw 5 incompletions at 221 yards. I mean, he showed up and he commanded the offense, right? Like we use the term game manager, and I know it gets a negative connotation, but he managed that game. Like he was under control the entire time. If you want to use game manager,
let's do a different one, Tucker. He was a field general tonight.
He was a point guard, right? Like he was John Stockton. He was Jason Kidd. Like he was out there. He was in charge. He didn't put up the flashy numbers. Really, no one did on the offense. Like Devontae Smith was the
numbers of anyone, you know. Yeah.
Smith was the leading receiver with 69 yards. I mean, Xavier Worthy is the only one who put up big yards. He ended up with 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Thanks to some garbage
40
time.
Points, Tucker. They scored 40 points.
And shout out to Patrick Mahomes for backtracking that and not making it seem as terrible as it was, right? When it was 40-6 with like 7 minutes to go. And the broadcast put up, hey man, like biggest deficit in his career. But it's just it's unbelievable what this offense did today. And it was something I think we thought they could do. But it's not something you expect, right? Like to expect to go in and just take a team like the Chiefs who had only lost once all season. You know, I think it's unreal. And speaking of unreal, I think Elliot Shorr-Parks is now at the stadium. Let's have him hop in, kind of shows how it goes.
Look at this. Getting a little inside action.
By the way, I don't think he can hear us, but he looks fantastic.
There he is.
It's crazy around here. Obviously, the Chiefs fans are already left. Let me show you guys a little bit.
Wow. This is unbelievable. This is so cool.
It's going to be crazy tonight.
So's Broad Street, baby. So's Broad Street. Oh, I watched the game. Shout out to neighbor Tommy. Watched the whole game over there. He's on his way to Broad Street now. Amazing group of people. I was going to come home at halftime, and obviously it was 24-0. I was like, well, I can't leave now. Got to stay. Man. Dude. Look at this. Look at this.
I can't hear anything you're saying. Everybody's too loud and celebrating, which is amazing.
No worries. It's awesome just to get the visual of it. Elliot looking fly as usual. And, I mean, how cool is this? Elliot Shorr-Parks is now in the belly of the stadium as the Eagles are celebrating a Super Bowl champion. Like,
I literally don't think I've seen a single Chiefs fan since I've left.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And
that's kind of how it was all week.
Yeah, and it sounded like that on TV. You could hear it. Like, you could hear that it was way, way, way heavier of an Eagles crowd than a Chiefs crowd. And, man, it's just I'm so happy for so many people that just showed below Vic Fangio, first Super Bowl title. Like, I mean, that guy's been in football for longer than I've been alive, and he finally won a Super Bowl championship. Like, and he earned it, and it was with this bravado performance. Like, what?
Wait, James, you'll like this. You'll like this. Eagles fans buying Super Bowl champion jerseys. Super Bowl champion.
This is
the
amazing.
line is, needless to say, very long. I might have to cop you and Tucker one if I can. But look at
hell yeah, dude! Look at that. Oh my goodness, this is amazing. The Eagles are Super Bowl champions. It almost feels like surreal to say it, you know? Like, the first time was obviously so special and meaningful, but it was almost like a fever dream. Like, this has been a build-up and went there and lost and came back and now, like, dominated. Like, this feels so earned, you know? It's such a different experience and, like, equally amazing, which I could have never imagined, you know? And, man, Elliot, like, it just to get these visuals and to get to see Elliot walking around, heading down to the locker room and knowing how happy those guys are going to be in the locker room. It's just going to be such a special thing, you know, for that group and the way that Nick has built this culture and this, you know, family there that these guys have gotten to do this together and are now going to be able to kind of, the game's over and really like process that and take that in. You know, it's such a special thing. I'm so happy for this group of guys, what they've been through, the adversity that they faced, last season, I mean, again, like we talked about last year, like the 1964 Phillies, like it was the worst collapse we've seen. And for this team to come back the next year and be the best team we've ever seen in the franchise's history, it's unbelievable. Yeah, look at that. Look at this. Look at this. It is bedlam down there. I mean, there could not be a better place for them to win, to also avenge that first Super Bowl loss in New Orleans, to give Eagles fans a chance to celebrate in New Orleans the way that they should. Man, I can only imagine what Broad Street's like right now. I can only imagine the joy coursing throughout this city right now. It's like, we don't get this. We don't get this. You know, I'm 43 years old. This is the third championship of my life for all four teams. Like,
interview this way.
it's crowd. Like, that's crazy. Like, so special. It's so special. And, you know, look, we hope that this team, I said no dynasty talk before this game. We're not talking about the next one or the next one. Now we can start to talk about winning more. Now we can start to talk about getting greedy. But I mean, just to, you know, we're not there yet. We're certainly not greedy yet. And it still feels surreal. It feels surreal that the Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions, and that they did it by absolutely dominating one of the great, if not greatest, quarterback coach combo we've ever seen. I mean, they dominated them. They absolutely owned the game tonight. Like, I know there were a lot of Eagles fans calling for blowouts, and I was like, sure, I could see it, but like, I can't expect it. Man, they blew them out. Like, it was almost like boring by the end. It wasn't, but it was almost. Like, Elliot, how you feeling, buddy?
Well, I'm a little out of breath from running, but I'm down here. Eagles fans still running around. Players are about to go to the podium. I'm walking to the locker room. See what the scene is like. It's amazing. This is unbelievable. I wish you were here.
I do too, buddy. As our guy Drew from Westchester, who brought it earlier today, pointing out Elliot figuring out where he's going live on the pod is elite content. It is beautiful stuff. I love the confident walk that Elliot has too. Like, he knows he's supposed to be there, and he has no problem letting everyone else know. As again, like, how about just the surrealness of the sentence? Elliot is walking into a Eagles victory, Super Bowl victory locker room. I mean, you know, there's only a handful of people who've been able to do that. It's only happened.
Can I make a point?
Just to hop in? Yeah, please go. Yes.
Let's give some credit, some big time credit tonight to Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie. Howie's going to the Hall of Fame after tonight. Jeffrey Lurie likely going to the Hall of Fame. The stretch of Eagles football they've overseen was an absolute, what did Drew call it tonight? Or this morning, a coronation. This was a coronation of Eagles football and everything the Eagles have built.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And the Howie thing, you know, we talked about it, but I mean, Howie Roseman has now won 2 Super Bowls with 2 completely different rosters and 2 completely different coaching staffs. And each year they won it, it was after an all-time great offseason and a couple all-time great ones before 16 and 17. Like, Howie Roseman, I mean, just think about what this team had this year, with from Barkley to Bond to Becton to Cooper to Gene to Quinyon Mitchell to the Vic Fangio, Kellen Moore, you know, moves. Like, it's just, it is an unbelievable job. It is the best general managing job I've ever seen in Philadelphia in my lifetime, without a doubt. Like, it's unbelievable. I mean, he's one of few people who has 2 championship rings in Philadelphia.
Right, I'm gonna have to hop off.
Okay, final thought from you, buddy. Final thought.
I love you all. I'm so excited for everybody. You all deserve this in every way possible. This is going to be an off season that's amazing. You guys make my life better with all this. I'm a lucky man to be involved, and I can't wait to see you all soon.
Love it. Love you, buddy. Awesome. as we'll have Tucker hop back on.
I'm back.
Tuck.
It's not as exciting
You're
here
back,
as it is
buddy.
watching Elliot stroll around the stadium trying to find
that
out
was
where to go.
fantastic. No, that was great stuff. I'm happy we did that. How you feeling, man?
I just can't like it. Just I don't want to say it's underwhelming because obviously we're all happy. Although obviously we can't believe it, but like it was over at halftime, right? Like the second half had the energy of like a week like the Panthers put up more of a fight when they played them whenever that was, like week 11, week 12, and you mentioned it earlier, like the fact that Saquon Barkley had 25 carries for 57 yards. I mean, there are so many weird things about this game. Obviously, the defense dominated. But, you add in the fact that, Barkley was 25 for 57 yards. The Eagles were only 3 of 12 on third down. That was something I thought Jalen Hurts did really well in the last Super Bowl was, he was great on third down, third and long. He extended a lot of drives. They didn't do that today, and they didn't have to. I mean, Jake Elliott made some good kicks. The defense was unbelievably dominant, and I mean, we're going to have a parade, right? Like, we're going to have another parade. We're going to be on the Ben Franklin Parkway at some point this week. Who knows when that's going to be with the weather? I'm waiting to see when they're going to announce that. But, I mean, for a game where it just felt like everything went right from the beginning. And, I think it was 10-0 at one point. I thought, well, it should be a lot more than that. Like, the fact that it was only 10-0, despite the Eagles' dominance. And when the Chiefs got the ball, I said to my brother who was sitting next to me, this drive is make or break, right? Like this drive, like Mahomes could put a touchdown on in the first 14 minutes of this game. Don't matter. Cooper DeJean gets a pick six on the very first play, and it's like, oh, you don't want to say it's over that early, but it kind of felt that way. It kind of felt that early in the game that, Patrick Mahomes was on the sideline, but it didn't matter. It really didn't matter.
It was over at that point in the game. Like, it was over. Like, the game was over at that point. We might not have known it for sure in that moment, but yeah, as soon as Coop scored, it was like, oh man, something's happening here. Like, something different is going on right now. And I mean, just for thinking about that, I mean, we talked so much about if you had said one of the two birthday boys is going to score, what are the odds that you could have gotten on it being Cooper over Saquon? But like for it to be on his birthday and his first career interception to be off Mahomes for a pick six to like set it off in the Super Bowl, like what the hell, man? Like that's crazy. Like this whole thing is crazy. Is there a towel behind me? Like again, I know a lot of people said I think we're gonna blow them out, and it was like, oh yeah, I could see it, we could see it, but like to actually watch them blow out Mahomes and Reed, and for Mahomes to look as frazzled and frankly pedestrian as he did, it was like it like adds to the surreality of it all. Like it's surreal deals on the Super Bowl. This doesn't happen to us. Oh my God, it's crazy. But to like see it happen that way with those players, with Patrick Mahomes, like it like makes it feel that much harder to believe because like you don't see that, man.
No, and what's crazy is you take a look at the Eagles' 2 Super Bowls, right? Like you win the first with Nick Foles as a backup quarterback, right, coming in and beating Brady and Bill Belichick, and then this one, I mean, it's a team that was going for a three-peat, right? A team that everyone kind of thought was going to win, although there were some people by the end of the week who were kind of, pulling for the Eagles. But, I mean, the fact that they just went out and dominated them like that, like, it's unbelievable. And I don't want to get ahead of myself. I don't want to do this because I think people do that when their team wins one Super Bowl. But you kind of look at the way this roster is made up and how young this defense is and how young Jalen is.
Youngest roster in the NFL, Tucker.
And you kind of have to look ahead to the future. And, I thought it was funny when, Washington lost to the Eagles and say, well, we're rebuilding. The Eagles are younger than the Commanders. The Eagles are the youngest team in the division. They just figured it out. Howie Roseman figured it out. And you kind of look ahead at the NFC. There aren't a lot of great quarterbacks in the NFC. I'm sure the 49ers will bounce back because John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan have a good program over there. But you kind of look at what this sets up for the Eagles moving forward and how great Howie Roseman has been at bouncing back. The future for this team couldn't be brighter. And the fact that they're winning now, and I don't know if it's ahead of schedule based on where they were 2 years ago, but the comeback that they had in the last 2 years from where we were 2 years ago. And I remember being at the Fillmore at the WIP watch party and just walking out in the rain and walking home to my apartment in the city until now where it's just like, I don't know. I guess I'm not going to go to bed tonight. Like, maybe I'll come in and just watch the morning show at 4 a.m. Like, I have no idea.
I'm definitely not going to bed. That's
what I'm going to do. I mean, it's just, it's an unbelievable feeling to watch them dominate. I mean, there was no drama. There really wasn't.
Yeah, two games in a row. It's so funny because the Rams game legitimately maybe the most stressful Eagles game I've ever watched in terms of just the back and forth and all. It just felt like, other than when Saquon had that run until they scored again, that like 3-4 minutes, it felt like the most stressful thing I've ever watched. And then for them to just whoop ass in the NFC Championship game in the Super Bowl, like, what the hell is that? Like, how does that, like, I just was so not expecting it, man. Like, and it really is, I said it before, but, I don't think the discussion should be after this. And obviously we'll get to the future and all, but just about this team and this year, like, it should not be, is it the best Eagles team of all time? It's clearly that. I think this is arguably the best team in the salary cap era in the NFL. For one season performance, like, you could argue this is the best roster, best performance, best team we've seen since like the 90s Cowboys or whatever the hell you want to say. Like, it is it's an unbelievable accomplishment and season. And it's to your point, like, even when we've won in our lifetime, like 08 Phillies, like on the come up, and they were a really great team. They were, at the 5-year, but they weren't like all-time great. The 2017 team, like, what a magical thing, like a story, hard to believe, but not all-time great. Like, this is an all-time great NFL season. NFL team. So like, we never had that. Like, I know it was over, but like, it felt like so long. Probably the last time that happened in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about the Super Bowl, when we talk about the NFL, and I mentioned this team at halftime, the game that this reminded me the most was 2013, when the Seahawks just dominated Peyton Manning, dominated that record-breaking Broncos offense, and it wasn't even close. They won 43-8. Obviously, it became a little closer in the second half of this game as Patrick Mahomes, put up some garbage time numbers, but I remember after that game, even though the Eagles had a pretty good 2013 season, thinking like, wow, the Seahawks have the NFC locked down, right? Like, that team and what that defense looks like, I can't imagine beating that team for the foreseeable future. And they won another conference title. They made it back to the Super Bowl, obviously lost to Brady and Belichick, but I kind of have that feeling now with the Eagles. Like, I just look at what their future could possibly be, and, I wonder how Howie Roseman and how this ownership with Jeff Lurie and Nick Sirianni, who we all doubt. I don't think we've talked enough about Nick Sirianni yet, but what they've done is just unbelievable. And moving forward, I mean, the sky's the limit.
Joe Giglio in the house. Joey G, how you feeling, pal?
Oh man, how awesome was that? That was a culmination of the whole season for 3 hours. James, it's so cool to join you. I hopped outside because my kids are finally trying to go to bed, but they're still screaming in the house. But I figured I would go out in the car and talk to you. Listen, man, that was awesome. I don't know about you, but when Cooper DeJean returned, I didn't want to say it because I didn't want to jinx it. I was like, it's over. That was the moment. I was like, they're going to win this game. Like, they've got this. Wow, man. What a night.
Yeah, I mean, they made Mahomes a pedestrian. It's like unbelievable. I feel like I was just saying to Tucker that, it's surreal for the Eagles to win a Super Bowl. Like, that doesn't happen to us, one time ever, all that. But like, watching Mahomes look lost and frazzled and watching the Eagles just absolutely dominate them on both sides of the ball, like, it added to the surrealness of the whole thing, because we know this team so well, this Chiefs team. We've seen them on the stage so many times. Like, they never looked like that. Like, it was just crazy. Like, the Eagles owned them tonight.
The wildest part was the consistent pass rush over. Like, Mahomes never looked comfortable. So it's funny. A lot as the year went on, I think that comps to that 2013 Seahawks team came up a lot with this Eagles team, right? Like, Jalen is kind of the Russell Wilson. They ran the ball and they had this amazing defense. This Super Bowl reminded me of that one when the Seahawks beat the
Tucker just said the same thing.
43-8. And at some point you look up, you're like, this is probably the biggest blowout since then. And it just felt like this all-time great quarterback, this all-time great offense could do nothing. There were moments in the first half, James, where it felt like they couldn't even muster a first down. That I've never seen Mahomes beat up like that.
Yeah, and that's why I was just talking about with Tucker, Joe, but I don't know about you, and you're good with the history and all that stuff, but I don't think the discussion after this about this team in this season is this the best Eagles team of all time? I think that's a given. I think this is arguably, to your point, maybe that Seattle team, one of the other ones in the discussion, but I think this is arguably the best team of the salary cap era, period, in the NFL. Like, when you look at what they did this year, the fact that they only lost They didn't lose any games at full strength. They lost one game in Tampa without three of their best players in a weird day, and then they lost on 2 drops, one of which their quarterback knocked out of. They won the NFC Championship game by putting up 55 points, and then they just beat this Mahomes-Reed all-time great group and duo, like going away 40-6, essentially. Like those last touchdowns were nothing. Like I think that when you look at the whole of the season, the number one defense, the number one rushing attack, the weapons, the roster itself, like I really think there's an argument. This is like the best group since the 90s Cowboys or whatever for one season. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly an argument there. And you go back, like they lost one football game, like they lost, right? Like
for
that
real,
game down
exactly.
in Tampa,
the Tampa game, that was it.
Yeah, that's it. And so it reminds me, you mentioned history that I think it was the 2003 Patriots. They started off 2-2. They didn't lose again the rest of the season. That's kind of like this, right? I mean, if Hurts doesn't go out in Washington, they probably go undefeated from 2-2 all the way through. They showed the graphic tonight during the broadcast of their point differential since the end of September is like plus 210. I mean, they just dominated the entire league. They beat good quarterbacks. That's for me what was so different than 2 years ago.
Totally.
2 years ago, when they played good quarterbacks, they got torched. This year, Burrow they beat, Lamar they beat, Mahomes they beat,
Daniels they beat
twice. Yeah, I mean, they took care of good quarterbacks. And James, the other thing to your point about how good they are historically, you know, it probably took us a while to realize what we had, but we may look back on this team differently 5 years from now. Like, we didn't realize week 1, Jalen Carter was already this, right? We didn't realize
Zach Bond. I mean,
yeah, Zach Bond.
Are you kidding me? Through the playoffs, this guy had an all-time playoff run. What do you have, like 4 or 5 forced turnovers in the games? Like, you know, and just the turnovers themselves, was it 13-1 or whatever over the course of the playoffs? I mean, it's astounding. It's astounding what this team just did, Joe.
Yeah, and you just add it all up. Like, maybe we didn't realize the beginning of the year they had all this, and then 5 years from, like, oh my goodness, they had Zach Bond, and even Saquon. Like when he got here, it was like, oh, he's Saquon Barkley, he's really talented. We may look back 5 years from now and say they had one of the 5 greatest backs in NFL history leading the way. Like all these things added up, and then even Jalen. I mean, I was listening to you guys this afternoon when you're talking about the legacy on the line tonight. Jalen, obviously, now through 5 years, his path is he's on that path to Canton.
No doubt.
He's got to do it for 10 more years, but he's got the biggest piece of the puzzle, which is a Super Bowl and a Super Bowl MVP. I thought, other than the interception when he got hit tonight, he was flawless. He was awesome tonight. He was so good. Tonight.
Yeah, he was brilliant. Like, again, other than the interception, which is weird play, weird throw, like, he was perfect. And in a game where, especially after that first drive and the BS penalty on AJ, and then, you know, we've talked so much about how unflappable the guy is. Like, tonight, you just saw it. He was so locked in. And look, we've seen it in the 3 biggest games he's ever played, you know, along with, I guess, the Niners one last year, or 2 years ago. Like, his 3 best games he's ever played are the 2 Super Bowls in the NFC Championship game. I mean, that, you know, when we talk about this guy, that's something that we really need to recognize. Like, there is a body of work here where this guy in big games steps up, and whatever, you know, we talk so much about those guys, whether it's the Jeters or the Bradys or whatever, these guys whose hearts beat slower in the moment, who aren't as overwhelmed by the size and the enormity of these moments. Like, we can clearly say that Jalen Hurts is one of those people. Like, he just is.
Yeah, and I thought tonight he really felt that way the whole time. Even that first drive where AJ got called for the push-off, which was a questionable call, that was a dime. I mean, it was
on 4th down. Down.
Yeah, I mean, he was in control, and I love the way he ran tonight. You know, sometimes
me too. He hasn't been doing it like all playoffs.
No, when he's not playing his best, he'll like run into sacks. Today he ran for first downs. He ran to move the chains. I just thought that was, you know, halfway through I was like, who's the MVP, right? Because the defense is dominating. But then when he hit Devontae, I was like, oh, it's Jalen. He's the MVP.
It's Jalen. Yeah, and again, like, just, you know, for all he went through and Nick went through and all that, it's a stunning turnaround for these guys. For when you think about where we were 1 year ago right now and how we felt, and even you could argue, you know, obviously the first 5 weeks of this season, but you know, I was saying before, I mean, it would be like the 1965 Phillies winning the World Series and being one of the best Phillies teams we've ever seen. You know what I mean? It's like, that was the worst collapse of our lifetime potentially last year. And they picked themselves off, and obviously Howie with his offseason and the additions of Saquon and stuff like that. But like with Jalen and Nick at the top and a lot of the same guys, I mean, these guys really just went to work and put together an all-time great comeback season. It's just and like we've talked about, the future's so bright with the youth and the experience and having Jalen and Nick at the top. Like it's just like, again, we're not used to sustained success. I mean, like we just talked about going in, Nick and Jalen, the first quarterback and head coach to ever go to 2 Super Bowls with the Eagles, period, ever. Like it's it feels weird, Joe. It feels weird, like not just this all-time great win in the night, but like thinking like, like look at this group and what could they do,
Well, Brady alluded to it towards the end of the broadcast. Like, it would almost be a surprise if they're not back in another one. I mean, I don't know if it's next year or the year after, but just like in the next handful of years, I would say it would be surprising if we don't get back to at least one more Super Bowl. Like that's how you got something. I mean, they have something really incredible. They're young, and Howie, man, he's figured this out. He's figured it out.
Tell me if you agree with this. I said earlier that, after tonight, I think Howie Roseman has put together over the last 7 years and, his period, the best general manager job I've ever seen in Philadelphia sports.
Oh, without question. I mean, and he's getting better. I feel like now that you look back at like 2017, 2018, I feel like he was almost just like feeling out what I should do. Like, now that I'm back fully in charge, how do I do this? They won quickly in 17, but now you see it, like just like the overall year-to-year roster building, and they're so young on defense. And he's so good with the cap that, man, like this team's going to be loaded again next year. It's awesome.
It's unbelievable. All right. So Joe, everyone check Joe and Hugh out tomorrow, 10 o'clock, obviously 6 o'clock for me. Not going to get a lot of sleep, but there's nowhere else to be but WIP tomorrow. Thanks for hopping on, man. Like I'm happy I got to share this with you. Obviously with everyone watching, this is really freaking cool, man. And to your point, like, wow, can you imagine we could do this again sometime? Like, this is pretty special.
I do think we'll do it again soon. I appreciate you guys having me. This is awesome. I'll keep listening. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Tuck, I guess this is the and obviously, like, we will be back this week with all kinds of coverage. Elliot, when he gets back, we'll do an in-studio recap.
We'll do victory pods. We'll do parade pods.
Parade pods. Like, we're gonna keep it going here. But final thought here of the whole thing here. Tuck,
two final thoughts. First, Nick Foles just tweeted. I don't know if you saw it. Just tweeted, thank goodness Tom Brady was in the stadium for both of the Eagles Super Bowls.
Hell yeah.
Must be a good luck charm. Like, I love Nick Foles just kind of twisting the knife.
So good.
A little bit. Like, he's gotten really good at this Twitter thing and in his retirement. The other thing I just want to bring up, James, like, this, my grandfather died, the morning of the Rams game a couple weeks ago. And, it's just to think about what it would be like if you were here, if he, got to see it. And I don't want to bring the party down, but, I got this bracelet this morning that I put his ashes in, got to watch the game with him today. And, I think for a day where in a week, I think for the parade where everyone's going to be together with their loved ones and stuff, I think times like this kind of make us all think a little bit and hold the loved ones that we have a little bit closer.
It's so well said. Look, today would have been my grandfather's 104th birthday if he were still around. He never got to see an Eagles championship. My dad didn't, but we started this pod off with Zoe on my lap. Like, I got to watch a championship with my daughter tonight. Like, she's 6 years old. I was 36 when I saw my first championship. Like, it's I've said this whole run, and it's just because it's just the truth. Like, it matters more here. Like, sports are woven into the fabric of this city in a way they're not anywhere else. The Eagles matter the most. And, it's because we pass it down. It's because if you're born here and your dad's an Eagles fan, your grandfather's an Eagles fan, guess what? You don't have a choice. You're going to be an Eagles fan. And, for most of our lives, that has meant, lovable losers. But it ain't tonight, buddy. It ain't tonight.
No, it's funny, the fabric of the community. Like my fiance Mary is from North Jersey, and it's just funny when her family like sees Philadelphia on the news, and they talk about like, wait, you did that? Wait, your gas station sells knockoff T-shirts on the side of the road. Wait, everyone says go Birds and wears Eagle stuff 7 days a week. during the month of January. It's like, yeah, like that's what we do here. It's different here. It really is.
Yeah, and that's what makes this so much more special, and that's what's going to make the rest of tonight so special for everyone. That's what's going to make tomorrow morning on WIP tune in so special. That's what's going to make the parade one of the great days of our lives as well. And we've said it all wrong, but I feel so lucky to share it with everyone. Drew from Westchester really said it well in his call, but like all the places and all the people that shout out to Mary, all the people, all the places that have come together in this community. It makes it so much more special to get to share it with everyone and kind of be part of the experience. And for the best Eagles season we've ever seen, man, like we just watched together the best Eagles season ever. Like, how about that, man? We just watched the best Eagles performance, the best Eagles game ever. We just watched the best Eagles team ever dominate in the Super Bowl against an all-time great. Like, I'm so happy, man. I'm so happy for everyone. I love you all so much.
You want to do a daily pod tomorrow?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm down. We'll be there, whatever. Brian Westbrook Day, even if it's just you and me for 10 minutes, I'm in. For real, we love you all so much. I'm going to try and begin to get ready for bed because I do have to be up in like 3.5 hours, but 4 hours. But we have all kinds of content coming. We're going to freaking revel in this because the Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions for only the second time ever. And it happened tonight, and we all watched it together, and they beat the stinking Chiefs. And I love everyone, and I'm so happy, and enjoy one of the best nights of our lives, and look forward to a parade, which is going to be one of the best days of our lives, and just revel in this. Like, this is the best thing ever. Like, hell yeah, man. I love you, Tucker. Elliot, we love you down there. Again, we'll be back tomorrow, Tuesday. Tons of content coming. I love all of you. The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. I have never meant these words more. Go Birds, baby!